Sean Diddy Combs is in the spotlight again after another scandal hits.
Well, Sean Diddy Combs is facing new allegations of sexual assault. This time,
this chapter takes a look at the wild and messy lives of celebrities, zooming in on Diddy's possible legal troubles and Kanye West's big statement about being divine. Kanye tries to juggle his larger-than-life self-image with his real-life problems, making his already debated personality even more complex.
To stop me because my mother made me believe in myself. No matter how many people tell me, stop believing in yourself. Stop saying what you can do. Stop affirming what you're gonna do and then completing that in real life. That's the improper way to do it. I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up in the way that they control people with low self-esteem.
Will Diddy get jail time for good? Let's investigate what happened to Diddy and why he is facing heavy criminal charges. When high-profile celebrities completely lose it, Kanye West has been really out there with his comments, especially when he said he's a god.
Where, just like that, when someone comes up and says something like, I am a god, everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was, a god.
That's not just him being super confident. It actually rubs a lot of people the wrong way, especially those who take their religious beliefs seriously. And this funny thing happened. Right in the middle of one of his big speeches, his phone just shut off. Like even his tech couldn't handle what he was saying. Think about this for a second. Kanye claims he's all-powerful, yet he can't even keep his own life in check. He's tangled up in legal issues about his music and has had some pretty rough times in his personal life too. It's weird seeing him call himself a god while he's struggling just like anyone else. It really shows you how big the gap is between how he sees himself and what's actually going on in his life. He keeps going around saying he rules the world, but when you look at his life, it's full of legal fights and personal problems. It's almost ironic, like it would be laughable how he doesn't see the reality of his situation if it weren't actually kind of sad. It's like he's living in a completely different reality from everyone else. Kanye's bold statements about being all-powerful just don't line up with the everyday messes he finds himself in. Whether it's issues with his business deals or issues in his family life, there's always something. You'd think someone who claims to have so much control would have a smoother ride, right? But no, it's one thing after another. It's this constant clash between his grand declarations and the real-life challenges he faces that really makes you think. His life is a perfect example of how saying something doesn't make it true. No matter how many times Kanye claims to be on top of everything, his real-world struggles tell a different story. And it's not just about the struggles themselves, it's about how stark the contrast is between his self-image and his actual situation. You have to wonder if he truly believes what he's saying, or if it's all just part of the show. But either way, it's a reminder that no matter how high and mighty someone might claim to be, reality has a way of keeping things in check. As Kanye steps into the adult film industry with plans to start his own studio, it just adds another layer to this saga. It seems like a move driven more by personal desires than any divine inspiration. Watching all this unfold, we see a pattern of celebrities living in a bubble where their actions have little to do with the real challenges regular people face every day. In today's celebrity culture, we see these stars as more than just entertainers. They try to position themselves as leaders or even gods, but often their lives are a series of missteps and controversies. This should be a wake-up call for all of us. Instead of looking up to them as role models, maybe we should see them as cautionary tales. As these celebrities continue to dominate headlines and social media feeds, it's important to stay critical and not get swept away by their antics. They're human, just like us, but their life in the spotlight often twists reality into something unrecognizable. And in watching their every move, we might just be feeding into a culture that values spectacle over substance. Let's keep our eyes open and see these stories for what they really are. A mix of real struggles and a lot of noise, none of which should be mistaken for genuine heroism or wisdom. Kanye West is now planning to start his own adult film company. You heard that correctly. This is the same man who previously blamed pornography for ruining his family life. Now, he seems to think it's a good business opportunity. His new venture, called Yeezy Porn, is expected to start this summer. The team includes a well-known producer from the adult film industry and Stormy Daniels' ex-husband. If there's a prize for being contradictory, Kanye would surely win it. Seeing Kanye turn to an industry he once criticized so harshly is quite something. He's choosing to involve himself in the very thing he claimed destroyed his family. It's as if he's forgotten his own words, or perhaps he's ignoring them in pursuit of whatever will keep him in the spotlight. This move could be seen as either a very confused decision or a calculated attempt to stir up media attention. Now, let's talk about Kanye's views on religion and God. He often mentions different gods, but emphasizes that there's only one true creator. Yet, his recent actions hardly match the values one might expect from someone who speaks so often about spiritual matters. It seems Kanye is more lost than ever, chasing after ventures that conflict with his past declarations of faith.
Come with me, Hail Mary, I'm gonna run quick, see. What do we have here now? Do you wanna ride or die? Na 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 na. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
It's like a Negro spiritual.
Kanye has also been vocal about the unfair advantages he perceives in the music industry, especially in digital streaming. He has suggested that Drake, another huge name in music, gets better numbers because of connections within the industry. Kanye hints that some behind-the-scenes manipulation might give Drake a leg up over others. This accusation opens up a larger discussion about fairness and transparency in how music streaming numbers are reported. Moving forward, we explore Kanye West's personal choices and how they mirror the big issues that celebrities face in today's spotlight. Saying one thing, doing another. Returning to Kanye West's comparison of God's words to seeds landing on various types of ground, he suggests that people respond differently to spiritual ideas. Some initially show enthusiasm but quickly lose interest when challenges arise. Others find themselves distracted by the many temptations in life. Only a handful deeply absorb and alter their lives in line with these spiritual teachings. However, observing Kanye's own actions, it appears he does not follow the wisdom he speaks of. His behavior does not align with the principles he mentions, and this contradiction makes his path difficult to follow. Kanye's venture into the adult film industry is not merely a personal choice. It mirrors a broader problem within the realm of celebrity influence. Celebrities like him often acquire substantial power and then use it in ways that confuse and surprise the public. Kanye's decision to enter this industry serves as a clear instance of a celebrity deviating from previously held values, opting instead to pursue new and often debatable directions. His evolution from a renowned music artist to a figure frequently embroiled in controversies illustrates how fame can muddle one's personal principles and public actions. This shift in Kanye's career trajectory raises questions about the complexities of maintaining one's original values amidst the pressures and transformations that come with fame. Additionally, Kanye's remarks on digital streaming and his rivalry with fellow artist Drake bring attention to ongoing issues of fairness and prejudice within the music industry. His comments highlight the need for a more thorough examination of how the industry operates, emphasizing the importance of ensuring that all artists, regardless of their connections, have an equal opportunity to succeed based on their abilities. This is crucial for creating a more equitable environment where talent truly dictates success rather than external factors such as networking and publicity. By addressing these issues, the music industry can work towards a more just and unbiased system that benefits all artists and contributes to a richer, more diverse musical landscape. Lately, the music world seems to be less about music and more about who's beating whom in popularity contests. For example, people say Rick Ross's song is better than many others, and then Chris Brown comes along with a track that supposedly knocks everyone else out of the water. It's as if we're ranking their talents like scores in a sports game, not really appreciating the music itself. Then, artists like Quo and J. Cole are quickly dismissed, treated as if they're irrelevant, which hardly seems fair or respectful to their contributions. Switching gears to the gossip that fuels the entertainment industry, the story about Megan Thee Stallion is a perfect example. She was reportedly involved in an intimate moment in the back of a car, which a cameraman caught on tape. This scenario sounds more suited to a reality TV show than something a respected artist should be involved in. Yet, the real twist here is the cameraman, Emilio Garcia, who felt the need to sue because he found the incident offensive. Imagine suing someone because you didn't like what you saw at work. It seems over the top. Let's take a closer look at this lawsuit. It might not really be about the damage it claims, but more about Garcia's own views. He seemed really upset by witnessing a same-sex couple being intimate. This could tell us a lot about the ongoing challenges society faces in accepting LGBTQ+ relationships more than anything else. His reaction isn't just a personal issue. It mirrors a wider discomfort that some people still experience when they see same-sex couples, even during private moments. Then there's 50 Cent, who's always ready to jump into a controversy. He weighed in on the situation in his usual straightforward way, suggesting that people who are upset by the incident should just be ignored. His style is to tackle complicated issues with a tough, dismissive attitude, which might not actually help in understanding or solving the underlying problems. Garcia's reaction to the incident might truly reflect his personal discomfort and the fact that he felt his boundaries were violated. However, the way the lawsuit is presented, as if it's a major breach of decency, seems quite outdated. It's not only about Garcia feeling uncomfortable, it's also about how such incidents are treated legally and socially. This brings us to a bigger point about how we talk about human rights and whose feelings get priority. The discussion often becomes polarized, with people quick to defend their own views without considering others. There's a lack of empathy in these debates, which often turn into public spectacles rather than meaningful dialogues. It's fascinating to see how 50 Cent reacted to Garcia's lawsuit because it kind of shows a contradiction. He's quick to tell Garcia that he's being too sensitive, but then 50 Cent himself gets pretty upset about things that bug him personally. This kind of shows a double standard in how we deal with problems or disagreements, especially when everyone's watching. Some people think that straight individuals don't get as much support or focus when it comes to talking about rights and respect. There's this feeling that things aren't balanced, and it makes you wonder if we're really being fair when we say we support diversity and equality. When we look at how these dramas play out in public, like in music or personal arguments, it really reflects the bigger discussions going on in society about rights, respect, and being seen. Every time someone reacts to something, it adds to the stories we tell each other. These stories can either help us understand each other better and bring us closer, or they can push us further apart. We really need to talk about these issues more deeply and not just focus on the drama if we want to see any real change. The dialogue often spins into the absurd, with phrases like, "Your mother's a hetero," thrown around as if it's a major insult. This highlights a peculiar obsession with pointing out the obvious in a way that's meant to shock or provoke, but ends up sounding rather ridiculous. There's a certain tragicomedy to the way the host handles his show. He admits he has no script, which should prepare us for some spontaneity, but instead, we dive into chaos that's more laughable than enlightening. Mid-rant about how nobody should question his use of personal time, he casually mentions he was just out to lunch, blurring the lines between professional obligations and personal leisure in a way that seems unprofessional. He defends this blend of personal and professional time with a defensive tone, insisting that questioning him is out of line, even though he's broadcasting live and should be accountable for his time management. Watch as the drama unfolds. We look at how celebrities influence us and twist reality, turning entertainment into a confusing mix of truth and spectacle. Showbiz isn't always pretty. Honestly, the whole discussion about music felt really all over the place and a bit odd. One thing that really stood out was how they're using AI to bring back artists like Tupac and Snoop Dogg for these virtual music battles. It's a weird vibe and not very exciting if you ask me. It feels like we're leaning too heavily on tech these days, using it as a crutch to keep the music going instead of genuinely making it better. This kind of thing waters down the real raw feel of the hip-hop scene, which is a real bummer. Everyone keeps talking about these high-tech tricks, as if they're some sort of genius move, but they actually seem more like desperate grabs for attention that don't really leave a mark. Then out of the blue, they bring up Chris Brown, saying he's outdoing other rappers. That comment seemed totally random and just threw more confusion into the mix. The show kept dropping names left and right, ticking them off as if they were just items on a shopping list, not really important parts of the music scene. That whole part of the show didn't really give us anything worth thinking about. It just felt like they were spinning their wheels, trying to fill up the airtime without really adding any depth or getting us to think about anything new. Watching the show was like sitting through a poorly put together play where the actors keep forgetting what they're supposed to say and nothing really makes sense. The show is supposed to be about diving deep into music and culture, but it ended up just being a bunch of people clashing, showing off without any clear purpose. They're supposed to be discussing important moves in the music industry and different strategies, but all that gets buried under personal drama and fancy tech stuff that doesn't really push the conversation forward. It's pretty frustrating when you tune in expecting to get some cool insights, and instead, you get lost in a mess of egos and pointless gimmicks. What exactly are people here for? Are they actually interested in some serious talk about music and what's happening in society? Or are they just in it for the laughs, watching the host try and fail to keep things under control? It's starting to look like the latter, since the show seems to lean heavily on stirring up drama rather than actually giving us something substantial to think about. All this drama leaves viewers with just a sense of being entertained in a confused sort of way. It's clear the show is gunning for those big, shocking moments rather than trying to educate or enlighten anyone. Talking about music and big cultural topics could be so interesting, right? But here it feels shallow. They skim the surface, relying on creating surprising or shocking moments to keep viewers hooked. This doesn't just shortchange the conversation. It's actually part of a bigger problem where entertainment often edges out any real learning or deep understanding. As this messy spectacle unfolds, it's like a perfect snapshot of how easy it is for today's media to miss the mark, getting all caught up in the showiness and forgetting about the real issues that can be tackled. We end up with a bunch of missed opportunities to dive deeper and make the discussions count. The whole thing makes me think a lot about what we're losing in the process. Each episode could be a chance to really dig into some important stuff, maybe change some perspectives or spark some meaningful conversations. But instead, we get this chaotic, jumbled mix where the potential to really impact viewers or push influential topics into the spotlight gets drowned out by the noise. It's frustrating to see it go down this way because you can tell there's a lot more that could be done with the platform. Instead of walking away with new ideas or insights, all we're left with is the memory of how chaotic everything was, and a feeling that we've just been part of a crowd watching a train wreck for entertainment. Here we are, surrounded by serious global problems and our local community troubles, yet people can't stop talking about the personal dramas of celebrities, especially those in the Black community. It's pretty surprising that with everything else going on, this is what grabs headlines. No matter how wealthy or famous these stars get, the stories we hear are always about their struggles and failures. It's as if money can't buy happiness or solve the little issues that everyone makes out to be so big. The talk always turns to pride and ego, big attitudes leading to even bigger falls. It's like watching someone pick the worst possible choices from a menu of disasters, one after another. Honestly, keeping up with all the risks and bad decisions in what some might call a devilish world is a full-time job. And yet, some prefer to engage in pretend fights, like kids play fighting in the backyard. When outsiders see this, they might think it's a real fight. They gasp thinking, they're really going at it. But it's all in fun, until suddenly it isn't, and someone decides to take things too seriously. Isn't that just a bit too touchy? This only sets the stage for more endless rap battles and public disputes that, according to some insiders, might just be about trivial matters, like who's dating whom. Yes, we're back to that tired old tale of quick flings and easily bruised egos, featuring rich rappers whose wealth seems matched only by their sensitivity. Oh, and we can't ignore the endless drama on social media. It's like watching a reality TV show that never stops. The latest hot topic? Chris Brown dropped a new track, and it's blowing up, totally eclipsing this other rapper. Now everyone's online rehashing old beefs in ways that are pretty disrespectful, especially to those who aren't around anymore. It's pretty disappointing to see how fast things can get ugly on the internet. Why can't we just move on from this negativity and focus on some positive vibes? Then there's this insight from Gilly the King, who says there's a timeless reason behind why these rappers are always at each other's throats. Romance. It's like something out of an old movie. Short-lived love affairs leading to big showdowns. According to him, these women are playing their cards like pros. They've got their style dialed in, makeup on point, and they always know the right places to hang out. They're not just out for a fun night, they're playing a calculated game. They position themselves just right to catch the eye of whatever big-name celeb rolls into town next. This week, it could be one rapper, the next week, someone else. To them, it's all a strategic game, almost like a career. It seems like every week there's a new chapter to this saga. You hop online, and there's always some fresh drama unfolding, stirred up by a new song or an old rivalry getting dug up again. Fans dive in, taking sides, spreading rumors, and sometimes just getting way too personal. It's a whirlwind of he said, she said, with social media fueling the fire, making every little spark into a blaze. Honestly, it's exhausting. With all this going on, it's easy to forget there's real talent and real stories behind all the flashy headlines and snappy comebacks. Maybe one day we'll start celebrating the music again instead of getting lost in the drama. But for now, it looks like the soap opera continues, and everyone's tuned in to see what or who will be the next big thing to rock the boat. So, what we're seeing isn't just about music or personal insults. It's about competition, not just on the music charts, but in the game of love. Each rapper thinks they've found someone special, only to find out they're part of a larger game with many players. Next, we dive into the world of quick love and instant fame, where relationships are just another part of the celebrity game, making their lives more complex. Fame makes love complicated. This drama unfolds against a backdrop of online commentators and fans who throw fuel on the fire, making every incident into headline news. Every song release, every public appearance, and every social media post is dissected, creating a never-ending cycle of drama that keeps the fans hooked and the tabloids busy. Honestly, the lives of these celebrities are constantly in the spotlight, picked apart by everyone. It's like they're starring in their own never-ending drama, where every move they make is public and the stakes feel very personal. No matter what happens, whether they're soaring high or hitting rock bottom, it all boils down to conflict, rivalry, and their quest to feel validated by the public. They're always in the limelight, and the story seems to never change, always spinning around drama. Whenever these celebrities roll into a new town, it's like they're on a mission. They spot someone they find attractive and immediately think, this could be the one. But the thing is, that person isn't just sitting there waiting for them. They're also looking out for the next hot rapper or big-name celebrity to show up. It's not really about making a deep, meaningful connection. Instead, it's like a game of who's next, where everyone's just waiting to see who will catch their eye first. Let's draw up a scene from a show like The Wire to make it clearer. Picture this. In a nightclub, a guy refuses to buy a woman a drink. Without making a scene, she just moves on to the next guy, hoping he'll be more generous. This scenario is a perfect example of how some view relationships as quick, transactional interactions. Despite this, some guys jump right in, thinking they've stumbled upon true love when it's really just a brief encounter motivated by their wealth. It's kind of sad to watch them throw around their money, believing it'll lead to real love, only to end up attracting people who are more interested in their bank account than anything else. If they're not cautious, this kind of shallow fling could end up costing them a lot, sometimes even affecting them for years to come. Shifting gears, let's talk about Ray J's recent choice to get tattoos on his face. He says this drastic look is his way of stepping back from the acting and TV hosting world. He wants to avoid being pressured into roles and situations he doesn't enjoy. It's quite a statement, marking his face permanently essentially saying he's done with certain parts of his celebrity lifestyle. No more makeup, no more roles. He thinks this will free him from industry expectations, a way to control his own path by making sure no one will hire him for roles he doesn't want. This act might look like he's taking control, but it could also be seen as a way to escape responsibilities or expectations he no longer wants to deal with. It's extreme, possibly even a bit rash. Is he making a personal statement, or is he cutting off his opportunities too quickly? Back to our main point about quick romances. These guys often get spellbound by someone's appearance and charm, barely pausing to consider the real motives of the person flirting back at them. It becomes a cycle repeated over and over. Money attracts fleeting affection, and these encounters play out like scenes from a movie, where everyone knows their role, but nobody really cares about the plot. The repercussions of these flings are often long-term, extending well beyond the short-lived moments of passion. It's a harsh lesson in the economics of relationships, one that many seem destined to repeat. Each display of wealth becomes a bait, luring them deeper into emotional and financial traps. Yet despite the glaring risks, they keep playing by the same rules, seemingly unaware or unconcerned about the potential dead ends. Whether it's financially supporting someone they barely know or marking their face to avoid unwanted attention, their choices are often questionable. Switching gears, let's talk about the ongoing saga with this character they call the Diddler, who's still up to no good. And Rodney Jones? His lawyer, the one defending Little Rod, is seriously digging in his heels. He's ready for a long fight. It seems this legal battle is just heating up and it's bound to explode. It's unavoidable, kind of like how you can't stop the days from passing. It's like a giant net being dragged along the ocean floor, heading towards the shore, and nothing can stop it. It's going to hit, and when it does, it'll be massive. As the tension in legal fights and personal issues grows, we take a closer look at how celebrities like Diddy and Rodney Jones balance their public image with their private realities. The dirty side of fame. Now, in case you somehow missed it, though I doubt you did, Rodney Jones decided to take Diddy to court back in February. The allegations? They're pretty severe. Rodney accused Diddy of sexually harassing him, drugging him, and even making threats against him. This serious accusation seems to have gotten the federal authorities interested because they raided Diddy's house and started a full-blown investigation. Talk about a major scandal. But the plot thickens. Diddy's lawyers are scrambling to get this lawsuit dismissed. They're trying every trick in the book to discredit Rodney, highlighting his past like it's some kind of horror story meant to scare us all away. They talk about a reckless homicide charge from 2003 and a misdemeanor sexual assault charge that was actually dismissed. They're basically shouting from the rooftops, trying to paint Rodney as this big, bad wolf. It seems pretty clear that they're desperately trying to shift the focus away from the lawsuit. Rodney Jones's attorney, however, isn't swayed by these smear tactics. He's sticking to his guns, not letting anyone shake his resolve. He's pointed out that the reckless homicide was actually a tragic accident that happened when Rodney and his cousin, who was like a brother to him, were just young guys in Chicago. They got into a bad situation with the police. There was a car crash. And sadly, Rodney's cousin died. In many places, when someone dies during a crime or an accident, the law can blame you for the death, labeling it as homicide. Rodney's lawyer is adamant. Don't get distracted by these sideshows. He's making it clear that despite all the noise, they should all be focusing on the fact that an indictment is probably on the way. So here's the scoop. Rodney Jones was supposedly in a rush to get away from somewhere, and he had his cousin with him in the car. Unfortunately, while they were trying to escape, Rodney lost control, crashed the car, and his cousin died. Now, in a lot of places, if someone dies while you're supposedly committing a crime or even just running away, you get blamed for the death. They call it reckless homicide, which basically means they think you caused someone's death by acting carelessly. They're using this incident to make Rodney look like a bad guy, painting him in the worst light possible. But let's be real. Just because someone has a rough past doesn't mean they can't tell the truth about other bad things happening. Bad guys can spot other bad guys doing wrong too. Sure, you might doubt their words, wondering if they're reliable, but that doesn't mean they can't be right sometimes. Now about the whole legal drama. Rodney's lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, is out there saying loud and clear that no matter what tricks Diddy's lawyers try to pull, it won't work. He's confident that an indictment is on the way for Diddy. It's like he's ringing an alarm bell, telling everyone to brace for impact, because this legal storm is brewing and about to hit hard. It's pretty dramatic, like something out of a movie, where everyone knows the big clash is coming and they're just waiting for it to explode. Could Kanye's claim of divinity be a misunderstood plea for help, or is it merely a bold attempt to remain relevant? What do you think? Share your views in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions.